The next topic to discuss here is vertical angles. And for vertical angles, the diagram that I want everybody to be thinking about is this one here. So let's say that we're given a line segment here, and then another intersecting line segment here. Okay, and I'm just going to label some points here, A, B, C, D, and E. And the idea of vertical angles is a pair of vertical angles is this angle here and this angle here. That would be an example of vertical angles. And the idea is that vertical angles are equal, or those two angles are congruent. And the same is true about these two angles here. Are also a pair of vertical angles and are congruent. But let's not believe what I say, just take my word so easily. Let's try to prove this. So what we want to prove here is we want to prove that angle CBE is congruent to angle DBA. Or the measure of angle CBE is equal to the measure of angle DBA. Okay, so what do we know here? Well, one thing that we can assume with this diagram are straight lines. So we know that DBE is a straight line, ABC is a straight line, and the line segment that passes through those points are straight. So that creates a 180-degree angle. And the way that we're going to prove this is using supplementary angles. So what we know is that angle CBE and angle DBC are supplementary, right? We know that angles CBE and DBC are supplementary. That means they sum to 180 degrees. So if this is true, then the measure of angle CBE plus the measure of angle DBC is equal to 180, right? And what else do we know? We also know that angle DBA and angle DBC are supplementary, right? So if angle DBA and angle DBC are supplementary, which means that the measure of angle DBA plus the measure of angle DBC is equal to 180 degrees. Okay. So if we know these two things, let's rearrange these equations a little bit. If I rearrange these, let's see if I change colors here, might help out. Okay. If I rearrange these equations, I could rewrite them as angle CBE equals 180 degrees minus angle DBC, right? So this would be the measure of these angles, right? And I could also write that the measure of angle DBA is equal to 180 degrees minus the measure of angle DBC, right? So all I'm doing is bringing this dBc over to the other side of the equation. So now I'm getting an expression for the measure of angle CBE and the measure of angle DBA, because these are the two angles that we were looking for. These are the two angles that we want to prove are congruent. They're to prove that the measures are equal, because they are the vertical angle pairs, or pair rather. So if this is true, then what we have here is we have an expression for the measure of angle CBE, and we have an expression for the measure of angle DBA, and they're the same. This 180 minus measure of angle DBC is true for both of these. So if that is true, that means that the measure of angle CBE is equal to the measure of angle DBA, and therefore these two angles are the same.